We are recording and live.
Great. Noinitsing Tekpat, do you want to kick us off with Tochtli?
Yeah, sure. So Tochtli is the eighth sign, right, of our energies, of our Tonalpohuallis. Sorry. And so I guess a little bit about the rabbit, right? It's a big symbol for fertility, for reproduction and things of that sort, but it's also kind of a symbol that really touches and elaborates on the concept of what these exercises and what these teachings are kind of instilling, is that we really do need to, nurture, to like grow, but also to truly live, right? And that Ashkan Wanikan, live in the moment kind of concept. So I think it does a good job of like using the rabbit to kind of symbolize life, right? Enjoying the fruits of life. Yeah, I don't want to take all the words, so I'll go ahead and pass the torch to Sister Pilar if you want to elaborate on more on the rabbit.
So, as we've seen in like previous signs, we see how they're all connected somehow, with the past sign and the after sign, right? And so for the rabbit, I really do feel like it's really connected to Masat, which we talked about last week. And his this like connection of being this like animal, right? Because humans, we are animals in a way, and just like we are related to Masat, we are related to the rabbit. And in working with the sign of the rabbit, you are channeling this everything that the sign entails, which includes fertility and abundance because of the rabbit's ability to procreate, and because the rabbit is so close to the ground. It's similar to Masat in the sense that it's always aware of its surroundings. But it's different because what rabbits do is they run, right? Like they run, they hide. They're really good at running away from their perceived danger. And so when you're working with the sign, we are working with what we consider to be anxiety, what we consider to be stress, and the way that we interact with other people in our environment. If we have not worked through what the sign teaches us, a lot of us will fall into anxiety, and I mean, like most of us here, I wasn't taught any of this when I was a child. And so it's definitely something that has changed my way of interacting. And yeah, for the rabbit, I think that's all I want to say. I don't want to say everything, so I'm good. Mati.
Noinitsing Nemo, anything you'd like to add?
Not at the moment, brother. I think plenty has been said.
Okay, let's proceed to the next slide.
Move on.
Noinitsing Nemo, you want to take us off on this?
Okay, come on. Sorry, my chair.
Sorry.
It says Tochtli or rabbit has the color yellow. Orientation is Huitzlampa, which is also known as south. Regent is Meyawel. The rabbit is a symbol of fertility in all aspects in the physical sense. It's an animal that reproduces quickly in the mental and in the spiritual. This means that people born under this sign are usually restless with a very active mind. They are always generating ideas and projects. They are hard workers, forward thinking, and productive. So much so that success is predictable in life if they are balanced internally. The rabbit is heavily associated with the lunar cycles. In iconography, the moon is drawn with the rabbit on its face due to the belief that the spots and shadows on the moon look like a rabbit, and because the rabbit's procreation cycle is similar to the lunar cycle, 29.5 days. In the cultural heritage of Anawak, there are many legends about the rabbit and the moon. In one of them, it is said that this animal was elevated to the sky by Quetzalcoatl, who rewarded him for sacrificing his life to feed him. In another legend, it is said a rabbit was thrown in Texistecat's face to reproduce his luminosity since he was born as a second son, and the gods could not permit two daylight stars in the sky. On another level, the rabbit is related to drunkenness and pulque. There is a designation for all types of drunkenness that exist, and there are many, named Setson Totochtin, the 400 rabbits. The Tonal Tochtli, two rabbit, is also the name of the pulque and drunkenness deity. Because of this, it is said that the rabbit people are very much into enjoying the pleasures of life, which they must learn to balance to not fall into hedonism and excess of all kinds. The rabbit is also one of the animals named by anthropologists as the trickster or sacred clown. These animals give us great truths and great lessons through unusual ways, usually through jokes or deception. This could probably be associated to the popular phrase that says, "A drunk always says the truth." The rabbit as a trickster alludes to that ability to learn and teach through ingenuity and festivity. Rabbits are very fertile animals that form very big nuclear families. For that reason, it is usually said that rabbit people form strong and lasting relationships. They are great partners and parents. The negative aspects of this sign include the tendency to be nosy or gossipy. It is also said that they can be very nervous people with a tendency to have anxiety.
That's the rabbit. Anything anybody wants to add? Let's proceed to the next slide.
Atlani.
Okay, Tochtli. I'll go ahead and read it. Tochtli, the rabbit is symbol of fertility, fruitfulness, and creativity. It gives us the ability to generate many ideas, which are in a way our children. We must get them organized in the way necessary to work on them, to see them completed. The rabbit also has very good hearing, and they hide when they know danger is near. In people, the same reaction takes place when they believe they are hurt by those that surround them, be it by their attitudes or words. So we stay silent and choose to not interact with others. We hide in the solitude, which in excess is called depression or stress or anxiety. We must accept that from all of these people that we believe are hurting us, there is a lesson for us. It gives us an opportunity to be creative in our responses without fighting, without arguments. We must face the situation to continue with our own objectives in the here and now, in the Ashkan where we learn the most. Anything anybody wants to say about this?
Thank you for reading it.
So I think that there's a few things about that previous this slide, right? And is this idea that that everything is a teaching moment, right? And that sometimes the people that are we surround ourselves with are also that opportunity for growth, right? So if we see a person that is extremely negative, and we keep that smile and we just simply say good morning, right? That is gonna be basically a good way to be medicine for this person, right? A good way to be able to to control how we act and how we behave, and not be affected by the way the others act or behave, in a particular time or way. So yeah, let's proceed to the next slide.
Sister
Pilar,
Pilar.
I'm calling you out.
The name Mayawel with an E is the name of the regent, although she is commonly known as Mayawel with an A. This deity is the patron of drunkenness and pulque, but is also a beautiful symbol of sustenance through sacrifice. Like Magay, sacrifices its body and heart to give everything to the ancestors. From her, we obtain medicine, fibers, and tools. These plants are placed one next to the other to grow as a set. From their hearts, we get aguamiel, which translates to liquid honey, which is used to produce pulque, and in turn provides joy. Its leaves were also used as raw material for construction, and once dried could also be used as combustive material to sustain fires. This plant represents both sustenance and generosity. You can cut its leaves and it will continue to produce as always. All of these qualities gave Mayawel the nickname the woman of the many breasts, to say that she breastfed us or breastfeeds us in all senses. In other contexts, it has been signaled that we are the pua of the Magay, projecting itself to the sky as a metaphor to spiritual elevation. Mayawel is considered a powerful plant that modifies our consciousness. This goddess reigns over the sign Tochtli of the sequence of days and the trecena of Se Malinali. The pua is like this stick. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a maguey, but the pua is the one that comes out, and eventually once it reaches as high as it wants, it flowers. I didn't know how to translate that, so I just put pua.
Thank you, Noinitzing.
Still good job.
Anything else anyone wants to add about Mayawel?
I think that it's a really beautiful representation for us to be grateful, right? To be thankful of the sacrifice that is given, not just from her, but from everything that's around us to sustain us to the point that we are now, right? We are always taking, and it's like we're raised in this society where taking is the norm and thanking is not. And so I really like this this education, of recognizing that we should be grateful for this self-sacrifice that um, a lot of the world's plants, a lot of the world's animals do, so that we can be where we are right now. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
I agree
Thank
with
you.
you, Noinitzing, Pilar, and I mean, the maguey, Mayawel, right, is such a powerful energy in the culture of our elders. Because of that, because of how much he gave us, our ancestors, our elders, right? Everything from the plant was used, as far as clothing, food, uh, weapons, ceremonial tools, you name it. The maguey is an extremely powerful plant in our culture. So it's, to me, it's quite interesting. Um, like you said, the way that this plant was able to sustain us in many different ways, and the level of respect that our elders had towards it. right? Tlazokamati. We want to go on to the next slide then?
Oh, yes. Chiakati moyon Tonal, one shinemi ken Tochtli. And so we're going to get into the meaty portion of all this. I don't know if you want to get us started, Brother Atlani.
Sure, I can. So, how does a Nahual live? Are you a Nahual? What does that mean, right? On the left, we see essentially a picture of energy in the moon and a rabbit on the moon, right? What is this symbolizing to us? It's basically telling us how the energy of Tochtli and the moon are linked together in many aspects, right? From myths, they were held by our elders, or stories, better called, rather than myths, to the way that it was used for different ceremonies, right? Uh, the moon was known and is known to have an effect on people, on plants. For instance, plants are or our elders follow the moon cycle to be able to plant their crops to this day. So it's one of those things they rely on the moon cycle to be able to produce properly. And these are things that they've done for quite some time and learn about the power that it has behind it, right? As far as the link between the moon and cultivation of different food sources. It also has a power effect on us. Uh, the moon has a power effect on water, right? We can see it in the sea. We can see it in water sources all over the world. But we are also water. We're, I think, like 75% water. So the moon also has that effect on us. Uh, that's where the word lunatic came from, right? People started noticing the people would behave in a particular day around the full moon cycle. And that's because of the way that the energy of the moon affects our own. So I think that's what I would say about this. In addition to that, um, and I'll go ahead and leave this for a little bit later, the moon can be used to trigger a lot of different energy aspects of ourselves. No needs in TechPad?
Thank you so much. So yeah, we can dive into now like the aspect of what a Nawad even is, right? We're over here talking about, so we can dive into it. Everybody has different concepts or ideas when it comes to it. It's like when you first bring up the conversation and start having discourse about the topic, you'll start to pick up that different people, it means something differently, right? I know the other day we had a conversation about it and we all kind of like chimed in our own perspective of when we first came across this term, like what it even meant. In my experience, I wasn't very well informed about it. I just learned from it through the lessons and teachings of Temachtilistli, right? And so a Nawal is your higher self, right? Like that higher being of spirituality, somebody that is very in tune with the connections throughout nature, right? Throughout the universe. They kind of understand some of those really important philosophical concepts, right? So, also trying to like not take all words, right? But yeah, so it's just like your higher self, and we each have one. but it does take a lot of, I think, what we were talking about earlier, what some of the siblings brought up of like that sacrifice, right? Of that effort and work that you have to put into the mix for it even to like translate into anything or manifest into anything. Um, so, and it's achievable by anybody, right? Well, for the most part. But yeah, it just requires a lot of dedication, a lot of like opening up the mind and the kind of the perspectives that we kind of already are used to, and like expanding them way more, stretching kind of those limits. And so I'll leave it at that. That way, um, either Brother Nemo or Sister Pilar can like chime in also and not have any words, all the words taken.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Pilar, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know where to start. There's so much to talk about. I don't know how you're running out of words. Um, the I feel like a different word that we can use for instead of saying like the energy. I don't know if you guys watched the video that like Nitin Atlani shared in the group from like Terrence Howard and his interview on Joe Rogan. And it's about frequency. It's about the frequency that is emitted through the astros, right? Like the moment we're born, it's the frequency that's emitted um, on us and the effects that it can have on us. And so the moon, it has this particular effect on us, and particularly on women, or biologically women who menstruate. There's a lot of if you believe in science, there's a lot of science to back up the 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 relationship with the moon cycle and the woman's menstrual cycle. And there are some, what is it called? There are some mystical beliefs too, related to when your bleeding starts, and what the moon phases in, to where you can basically receive this information that the universe is trying to tell you. And I I think it's really important to track your cycle if you are a woman, to track your cycle so that you know the 4 phases that you are going through, and you can better plan um, or execute whatever objectives you want, right? And that ties into Tochtli and the fact that you have all these ideas but you just don't really know where to start. It's like this what is it called, like executive functioning, right? Like you don't know where to start. Like you want to do something but you don't know where you want to start it. And there's a way, right, to reconnect to the universe and the way that our ancestors knew how to organize ourselves and complete our objectives. And a lot of people, if you're in the United States, you probably don't know what a Nawal even is. But if you grew up in Mexico or somewhere south, then a Nawal is usually alluded to being somebody who is a shapeshifter. People talk about how there's dogmen in the rancho, how people that can shift into animals. And that's kind of like where that idea of it being like a were person comes from. But we don't really hear that here in the United States in English. Here you could probably relate it more to like the stories about skinwalkers, about these like animals, humans, or like pretenders, right? To that try to lure people. But it's all scare tactics, right? It's like for fear purposes. A Nawal, something that we are striving to be, um is somebody who can be good or bad, right? It's somebody who is more connected to everything, um, who is connected to everything, period, in a way that society now doesn't really want us to be connected to. And I think I lost my train of thought, but I am very interested in continuing this conversation. And I think that all of this is, stuff that we already know in our hearts is true. We carry it in our DNA, and we're just rediscovering it, and we're able to own it now, right? We're able to apply it to our lives. And yeah, sometimes we don't have the stuff necessary to do the exercises, but stuff, physical items, they're all in this plane of existence. They're not in the outside one. Now, they're not in our higher selves plane of existence, right? We don't need anything else. Everything we need is inside of us. Everything that you need is inside of you right now as we're talking. We need nothing else. And it's pretty amazing that we're learning how to connect this way, and retaking this power of belief that we are sacred energies and we need of nothing or anyone to recognize that. That's it. That's all I have to say. Gracias, Kamati.
Thank you so much, Nitin. That was awesome. So I'm gonna translate directly what the Mastiani had said about this. So everything is correct. Some say there is a bad Nawal and that there are good Nawals. Unfortunately, the truth is there is no bad Nawal or good Nawal. There is a thread that is thinner than our hair that divides our actions. And so a good example to take from this is, this is just an example that he says, I am a man of medicine. I know how to manipulate the emotions of others. I know the art of the Huehuecoyot. What is the art of Huehuecoyot? Well, it is the subtle art, the art of deception, of dancing with the wind, with life, with harmony. So think about this as the example. Imagine someone is doing harm to my children, and I know exactly who is harming my children, and I can reverse that harm against the person who is causing my child pain. I can do that. This is the point where your spirit should remain like unmovable water, that it doesn't alter you, that emotion doesn't win over you, that I can cleanse or protect, I can block that harm without returning that harm to the person. Because in life, everything is paid for, evil with evil and good with good. Being on a wall has two assertions, two conceptions from two different worlds. And after this, he goes into the point of talking about being very present for this lesson, because it dives deep into the conception that the Nawa people did not believe in good or bad, right? There was, negative or positive aspects in your actions, and so that's what they're referring to when it comes to that part. And so he talks about in the Western conception, a Nawal is a person who transforms and harms others. But there is also a Nawal that transforms, even sheds its own skin to become a medicine for others. There are two conceptions and both are valid, and they both exist. And then he talks about the family anecdote, which we'll get into after this. But man, this is literally I transcribed what he was saying at the beginning of this because it caught my attention. Right? There are multiple ways of living and existing, and each way is valid. There's not one that says it's better than the other, right? It's just that what is your conception or perception of what the Nawal is, right? And so for me, obviously, Nawal just doesn't translate into a person that can transform to harm others or to turn themselves into medicine for others, right? I also believe that Nawal is uh, your higher self, the version of you that you were made to believe that it was a bad thing and you must overcome it and defeat it in all case possible. And that's your ego, right? Your the part of you that can traverse into Mictlampa and make contact with the ancestors. And so yeah, brother, sorry.
No, anything take, but would you like to add a little more to this?
She stepped out. Sorry.
Okay. So let me talk a little more about this, because this is actually something that is quite interesting to me. I was listening to Sadhguru, this guru guy, extremely smart, full of knowledge, really, really respectable. I think a lot of the stuff that he says is on point. But one of the things he said was how all of this ancient knowledge that is held in India, right, is also held in the Americas. But he basically made the same connotation that a lot of people make, right, on how a Nahual is basically this being that is an evil being, correct? That is essentially just this person, or energy, however you like to see it from the Western point of view, that is evil, right? That's not what a Nahual is. A Nahual is way more than that. A Nahual is a person of knowledge, a person that can learn poetry, learn music, learn, you name it, right? Science. Is a person of knowledge, right? And part of that knowledge is gaining the knowledge of being able to control your own energy. And in doing so, you get to embody different things, whether that's an animal, right? Now, these are concepts that are extremely uh, taboo in our societies. And the reason why is because it was made to be that way, right? When the European settlers came to America, or what we know as America, they came with their own belief system, right? And part of taking over was getting rid of the knowledge and information that was here, right? Part of that knowledge is this: is still alive and lived and kept by many people in all of America, not just Mexico, North America as well, South America. And so a Nahual is more than just a person that can turn into an animal. It's actually a person of deep knowledge, a person that is living in balance with nature, a person that can connect with a plant, they can talk to a tree, they can speak to the wind, right? They can become water. So it's not just this concept of the stories that we have heard, which, by the way, these are the same stories that were driven by the people that want us to be scared of this type of knowledge, right? But at the end of the day, a Nahual is way more than just a person that can turn into an animal. That is one of the many things that can be done.
Yes, and that's very true that the foreigners, when they came in, they forced our people to believe in other things and they started to demonize our culture and our way of practicing. And so, um, Yeah, I just wanted to add that part there. Anybody else would like to add anything? Anybody?
Who are we gonna believe? The people that didn't shower every day, or the people that did?
Next slide.
Relax, brother, relax. Okay, so the story of Tata Jose Tlaca Miston or Jose Tigrillo, little tiger. Do you want to kick this off, Atlani, or do you want me to tell the story?
Go ahead and tell the story, and then we'll follow up.
All right, fill in any gaps if I miss anything, right? So the story goes that there was this gentleman who had a daughter and a couple of young boys, and his daughter was ill. The doctors could not figure out what was wrong. Half of her body was cold, and the other half was warm, and so like normal temperature. And so there was this person that he knew that he went to go visit, and he traveled like 2 or 3 hours to go visit this person. And they saw each other, they drank some temazcal. They kind of talked about meeting up at the dad's house so that he can, try and help out. And so the following morning, this gentleman went to go visit the father early in the morning and was trying to figure out what exactly was happening. And so um this is where I kind of got lost. Okay. The daughter was trapped somewhere, and uh, they wanted to take her out. So I'm believing that they were at like the medical tent or a medical building. And so
No, you need to
yes.
Yeah, so in the story, it says that her Nahualito, her little animal, was what was being tortured. What was being trapped. And so they had captured her Nahual, the animal that is connected to us. And because they were torturing it and they had it prisoner, that is why she was so unpresent in her physical body, because her Nahual was being held captive. Um, so it wasn't that she was being held captive, it was that her Nahualito was being held captive by some people who wished ill upon them, right?
Thank you so much. And so they kind of figured out a way to help her out. And so um and they drank mezcal. So that was one of the and it was always 3 drinks that they would drink together. And so anyways, so they end up retrieving the daughter, and the way it was done is that the father went through the front door and distracted the people while the son went through the back and dug his way into being able to help her escape. And so um, she was in the well or in a pond, and they were healing her. And I think they were using water, and they were using some leaves as well. And but they had told the father that she was rescued, and so turns out that she eventually, regulated. Everything came back to normal, and the doctors were thinking about doing surgery when she, you know, got fixed. And so, and that was Temachtilistli's sister, and it was his father, the one who went through that experience. And so that was pretty cool. Sorry, any other gaps that I missed?
I think it's important to mention that the man that he asked for help from, he was a Nahual, right? He was a man that could communicate with the animals and the spirits, and he asked the father to bring him offerings, and they brought, the flor de pericon, I think they mentioned copal too, but they also had the mezcal. And when he was going to locate her Nahualito, he said that they were going to need an offering of a goat, and so he happened to be the Nahual. He happened to be a goat herder, and so the father purchased one of the goats from him, and he, did what he had to do to the goat, and they were able to locate her. I think that means that it was like some kind of, like blood magic or something to locate where the Nahualito was at. But I'm not sure about that part. And he also said that he knew that once they had her Nahualito, that the girl would get better and that she needed to she needed to be fed fish, because fish are very nutritious and light, and they help us recover when we have been heavily energetically drained. And so that's something that we can also take from the story for ourselves, right? For when we are energetically drained, that ingesting fish as a light protein will help us recover that energy. Gracias, Kumar.
I think it's also important to mention that this is basically a personal experience of the Temachtiani, right? Uh, I believe that this is basically the explanation that he gave us in regards to the Nahual, the energy of his sister. This is something that happened to his family. Um was being taken, and the way that it was being taken was by some sort of energies in the mountain, right? Everywhere that we go is full of energies, energies that are way older than us in many cases, right? But we don't perceive them. We don't perceive everything with our eyes. We perceive actually a really small percentage of the things around us. That's proven scientifically, by the way. But in not being able to see everything that is around us, we don't get to see a lot of different energies that may be there, right? So if we go to a mountain and we don't ask permission, we don't behave in a respectful way, these energies might not like it, right? And these energies might take some of our energy. And that's what I believe that happened in this situation. And that's the reason why it was, and obviously the person, the Temashtiani sister, fell ill. Once your energy is taken, especially the people that have noticed the change in energy via exercises, you can tell the difference. You can tell how you can feel somewhat sick, right? So if it's a lot of energy that is taken from you, you can fall ill really easy. So that's essentially what happened in this situation. But I wanted to also mention that this is not just something that happens in the area where the Temachtian is from or in Mexico. It happens all over the world, right? We have heard the stories of the werewolves. We heard stories of shapeshifters and skinwalkers. I find the word skinwalker is extremely interesting because I do find that the fear from the North American nations uh, when it comes to that particular word, right? But that is the same fear that I see also from the regular Mexican people that are, when the word Nahual is used, right? Is this idea that these are extremely evil beings amongst us, right? That are there to kill us or do some harm to us. But I have also heard, which I have heard plenty of um, stories they mention things like that, things that the one would consider bad, right? uh, However, I have also heard instances on which nahuales use their ability to basically fly from one mountain to the next to be able to go and give medicine to a person in the mountains of Mexico, right? I have also personally spoken to a person that was part of a circle led by a Nahual and multiple different uh, people with attributes that were what one would consider abnormal, if you want to use that word, right? Because these are people that have a different perspective of life, different knowledge, and different way of thinking, right? They are not stuck in the way of on the way of thinking that we have, where we have bills and we have things to pay on a daily basis. We have distractions, right? These are people that their only distraction is to acquire knowledge, to save energy, which is quite important, right? To be able to achieve this balance that allows for people to be able to do things like this. So it's a lot of work. It's not just I'm gonna turn into a cat and it just happens, right? It takes a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of endurance, a lot of this exercise, and a lot of discipline is taken into account, and a lot of energy is also sacrificed in the process. Any questions that we may have about this before we proceed to the next slide?
I don't have a question, but just a comment I want to make.
Please.
So when it comes to the skinwalker, I've heard stories from the Dene people, also known as the Navajo people, and the skinwalker is very different from the Nahual. Based on the stories that I've heard, a person who is a skinwalker did very bad things to gain the powers that they gain in order to become a skinwalker. And they don't go very deep into what they do, but they pretty much said that they sacrifice a member of their family to gain the powers that they gain, to basically um, do harm onto other people so they can become more powerful. So I don't know if you guys saw my message in the chat, but even though I can see why you're using the skinwalker as an example to bring up the similarities between the Nahual and the skinwalker, like, yeah, they're similar, but they're not exactly the same. And the fear associated with the skinwalker is pretty justified because to this day, there are people in the Navajo Nation who still fight these beings and who protect their people from it because they still exist. And another thing is that skinwalkers are common in primarily areas where the Dene Nation resides, and the Hopi Nation. So they pretty much exist in the New Mexico, Arizona, and I think Colorado. So that entire area is where you will find skinwalkers. Anywhere outside of that, you don't really, they're not common among any other northern tribes. Now there is the Wendigo. It's kind of similar, but the Wendigo, that one is different, and that one has more to do with cannibalism and folklore and whatnot. But I just wanted to comment on that because I don't want the association between the Nahual and Skinwalker to be misinterpreted, because like I said, a Nahual is nothing like the Skinwalker. Like the Nahual, like you guys said, the Nahual is neither good nor bad, because the reason why I don't want to associate it with the Skinwalker too much is because, already in Mexico, there's a lot of fear associated with the Nahual, thanks to the colonizers. So a lot of people believe that they're witches. you know, pretty much in the same way that people believe curanderos are witches. So that's why I kind of want to step away from comparing the two too much, because they're not exactly the same. They're different, similar, but not the same.
But this is just one variation of that ideology, and so um, even though Temachtiani does not believe that, there are some people who do believe that the Nawal is bad and that and I completely understand and I get what you're talking about. But yes, thank you so much for enlightening us, telling us that very intricate story. And so it was very, very enlightening. Thank you.
Yeah, Tlazo Kamati, no anything. When it comes to the sacrifices, the really bad things the skinwalkers did or do, uh, those are stories are also alive in Nahualism. Uh, so this deep fear uh, towards skinwalkers and doing evil things is also the same fear, deep fear, right, of really evil things. I mean, um, one of the things that Artemashtiani has mentioned, which I have heard multiple times, is how a Nahual will offer a kid that is below the age of 5, right? And that is basically the same story that we hear from the native North American nations when it comes to skinwalkers, which you just mentioned, right? That they will make this sacrifice, this offering of a family member. Uh, the Temachtiani says that that doesn't happen anymore. Obviously, that's not something that I would do. Uh, I think that that is where you can see the the good and the bad really take a hold, right? I would consider taking somebody else's life, even if it's as a ritual or ceremony, uh, as an offering, as a bad thing myself. I don't feel that is my place to take somebody else's life, especially that of a child, right? Uh, and I think that that is where these ideas behind Nahuales and skinwalkers and many others, because these are not just all of these ideas have been contaminated with a lot of information or misinformation uh, that makes us fear them and makes us uh, not even talk about them at times, right? Uh, I have heard of Nahuales living centuries, right, by controlling their energy and by taking energy from others, by making pacts. You can make pacts in Mictlampa. When you're sleeping, you got to be careful. You got to be aware that there's entities that you don't want to be making pacts with, right? It's the same concept of fear at the end of the day. Uh, the losing that control of your own destiny, right? You do not want to be doing pacts with things that you don't understand. And I think that if you're willing to offer a family member, that is definitely something that all of us can agree is an evil thing. So that's not something that I would suggest myself. I think that an Nahual should take the path of medicine, of healing, of others, and not of power for himself, which that is something that can be done, right? You can take with knowledge, you can manipulate others into giving you power, into giving you energy and things like that, which at the end of the day, one has to understand the law that everything that you do is going to come back to you, right? So with that concept in mind, you wouldn't want to use any of the knowledge to do anything that is going to come back to you sevenfold and affect you and your family in a way that obviously you're not gonna enjoy. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. I think that when it comes to these topics, is these topics are extremely uh, filled with a lot of different information, and one has to be uh, careful about the information that one wants to take in. But at the end of the day, one of the things that Tochtli teaches us is that we have to be learning all the time. That's what a rabbit does. It's always learning. So even if you disagree with the concept, the best thing to do is to look for your own truth. Look deeper. Read as many books as you can, ancient books if you can, about the subject. That way you can come up with your own truth rather than the truth of others, which is what I would say is the Neltilistli, your own truth, right?
If
No,
I
yeah,
may,
I agree
oh,
with that.
on.
But quite frankly, I would believe a person who comes from an indigenous nation over a book written by somebody who was not from that indigenous nation, you know? So they're the ones who have the knowledge, and that's knowledge and practices and traditions that's been passed down for thousands of years. So I would believe them over any book, to be quite frank. And as far as the skinwalker itself and where it comes from, that's comes from an indigenous, history, indigenous knowledge. Um, as far as a Nawal is concerned, the story behind it, I know is more than likely it's a mixture of both, right? Coming from a lot of the fear that comes from the Nawal, um, comes from a lot of it comes from the colonizer perspective, and then maybe some of it comes from its history, right? But I do believe that anybody who is a Nawal, right, could use their gifts for good or bad, right? It depends on the person. I agree with that 100%. Um, but yeah, so but thank you for the advice and your insight.
Really quick, I want to say, if anybody knows where a skinwalker is, I would challenge them to point it out to me so I can go over there and lift up its covers myself. A little skeptical about what one may say a skinwalker is or isn't. As far as the Nawal, I agree how it can be both positive and negative. Atlani, as much as I respect your opinion, I have to humbly probably say the opposite of karma or the sevenfold. Nothing comes back. Maybe if you expect it to come back, it comes back. As a matter of fact, there's this one tactic that I use in warfare. It's called feeding off thy enemies, where you empower yourself through the bad attention or your enemies becoming upset over you or getting more mad, like through the hate, right? The more hate you get, the more empowered you become. It's called feeding off your enemies. So, for instance, if your enemy tries to throw something at you or send something at you, you're going to transmute that energy and use it to your own advantage. You're feeding off of their energy, basically depleting them, right? This is what a skillful somebody who practices that art of warfare does, is you don't let the person send it back to you. You create a shield that enhances what they send to you. So that way, when you send them something and they send it back, that return to sender, all that's doing is enhancing you. So you're feeding off of their energy. And as a matter of fact, somebody who's good enough can send a shout out and they can wait and feel, and they can tell if the person, if it hit its target, or they can tell if it's getting sent back. This is why good practitioners or santos will cleanse themselves right after they do a job to make themselves invisible. So when it comes back, that arrow that flies by night and by day is not going to hit them. Right. So I'm saying that, Atlani, just to disagree with that one part of saying, because everything else you were saying, it's like poetry. Usually that's how it is, Atlani. You can read the phone book to us and it'll sound like it's on point because you articulate yourself very well. But when I start to hear things about, especially in the spiritual realm, and things to do with beings like that, isn't giving somebody a seed suggestion, isn't that like a skinwalker? Telling somebody your point of view and giving them some toxic energy and them having that seed inside them, did you not just plant a skinwalker in them, or what would be conceived as one? Right?
So,
And
you're hunting energy at that point. No anything, right? You're feeding off of somebody else's energy.
right.
Any type of energy that is sent your way, and you're 100% right when it comes to that. You can basically feed off of other people when it comes to energy. The question is, do you truly want to do that? Or would you want to try to use your own energy to try and achieve the personal balance, right? I mean, I understand the concept of defending yourself when you're being attacked, right?
Right.
But to me, this knowledge is better used when it's used to help others. Of course, anybody can use it for anything they want. This is knowledge, right? And knowledge empowers you. And once you have knowledge, you can truly use the knowledge to do or to achieve a lot of different things, right? I still would caution people to use it to harm, to use it towards harming others, because I don't think it leads to a good place myself. But obviously, uh, anybody can choose to do whatever it is that they like when it comes to this type of information. I think one has to always be protecting themselves. I agree with you. I think that after every ceremony, you should protect yourself. Uh, when it comes to this knowledge, this so this information is in the books called Amochtlis, right? And that's what we're studying with the Temachtilli. So this information that we're discussing is information that is actually in writing. It talks about essentially what could be done, what was done, the philosophy behind it, and that's a part of what we're teaching in the next, hopefully in the next few classes after these tonales are explained. But it's also what the Temachtilli is teaching us, and we're learning from people that hold this knowledge for multiple centuries. So this is not information that we just Googled or looked up a YouTube video out of somebody that we don't trust when it comes to the knowledge, right? This is knowledge that is basically coming from the root. The Temachtilli, the teacher that is teaching us this is a person that belongs to the circle that holds this information, right? So it comes from the source, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to say when it comes to that. Anything anybody else wants to say on this?
Yeah, really quick though, I just want to add to that and conclude by saying, yes, no, I agree with you 100%. It's one thing for somebody to say, this is a teaching. It's another thing for somebody to say, let me show you in front of your face and prove you right now in this moment. This is what I'm talking about right now, versus saying, he say, she say, right? And so that's the thing about being able to measure what we do, is to take notes on it, measure it, and then put it under different circumstances to observe, measure, right? This is how you take proper notes, and you're able to digest something in a way where you're saying, this works here, this doesn't work there, right? Kind of like the waxing and the waning of the moon, right? We know that things grow with the with the waxing of the moon. We know that things stop growing, like the tide going up and going down. We know the plants start to awaken more. We know that hair becomes more better when you cut it, when it's a growing moon, right? Unless you want it to stop to grow. So there's so much there with the rhythm and the flow of things, but it would never be if we were to just say it's only one way and that's it. We always got to test everything to make sure it's what it's supposed to be and what it's saying it is, right? And so that's where I think I'm coming at from that. I'm neither trying to say nobody is right or wrong. All I'm offering is that opinion of what I'm saying is it may not always be factual and one saying, hey, there's karma, so be careful, because that's not really the case. And usually people only offer that karma is to try to get people to not do bad things, which reminds me of some people trying to colonize, that colonizer mindset of saying, you know, no, you're going to get punished, right? And that's why I shake that off, or rather offer a different opinion when I hear something that even gets close to that version of it. So, I agree with you. And that's why I offered something of saying, it's good to have something that is theory, but when you put it into practice, that's why I first started off by saying, where is the skinwalker? Show me. Tell him I'm looking for him. And I'm not playing like that.
Be careful what you wish for, because you don't know what you're talking about.
I'll wish for it twice, and I'll even give my first and last name when I say it. I'll send a picture on the live. I promise you I'm not afraid. I'll eat that skinwalker.
So I mean, I don't think that's I agree with you guys. I mean, at the end of the day,
my muertos are hungry. They eat skinwalkers for breakfast.
So at the end of the day, what I think we're trying to explain with this particular story about the Nahual and why we are discussing this particular topic here, or the point that I'm trying to make is that it goes far greater than just being able to embody an animal or embody something evil, right? What if you can embody the universe? Right? What if you can, as the teachings of Don Juan mentioned, right, find your true freedom through being able to unify yourself with the universe in this lifetime. So there's multiple different aspects to the Nahual conversation, and we'll go ahead and continue to talk about that. But for the sake of time, why don't we proceed to move on with the Tochtli subject?
But really quick, I want to say, though, I seen somebody turn into an animal, a jaguar, on ayahuasca. I seen somebody, and they were turning on all fours, roaring. I seen somebody creating a fire that was made in the spiritual realm on ayahuasca, right? And sapito. I've also seen the same concept when you're saying turn into the universe. Yeah, I had the same thing. So I agree with you 100%, Atlani. But go on, let me mute up, because again, I don't want to be a nuisance here. I'm just trying to engage.
So, staying on the Tochtli subject here, the fertility of our spirituality, emotions, knowledge, projects, goals, and economic targets, right? Nemo, you want to take us off on this?
So the concept here is that, as was mentioned earlier by Nugnitin Pilar, is the fact that we must embody the aspect of fertility when it comes to the growth of our spirituality, I guess I would get, you can say, the regulation of the emotions, right? There is different knowledge, right? We must understand that fact, that all ideas and all thought processes exist. Then that was already mentioned before. So there's not one that is right. There's not one that is wrong. Everything is correct. And so, regardless, the fact remains that it must remain within us to grow. And so in order for us to be able to do that, well, obviously there's things that you must put into practice. And some of those things are the exercises that we do offer and provide. And so I do offer those who would like to partake in these exercises don't have the tools to speak up. So that way we can get you the tools, and then you can practice and you experience on your own. And then we can, have the discussion about that, and then how it will help you grow as well. And so, anything else you'd like to add?
I mean, just like a quick little reminder before we continue, just also keep in the back of our minds every time we like embark on these classes and like learning together, right? Come, we all just, yeah, I don't know. It's all like I'm glad we're having the discourse we're having. I'm glad we're having the conversations and bringing up some of the topics, and I do appreciate the abundance of knowledge right now that's being shared by each of you. But yeah, just continue it, like keep it up. And also just like keep up that, open-mindedness of challenging maybe what we already know. I mean, we can only get stronger in our thoughts and our knowledge if we, keep it up. But yeah, in regards to like the fertility, I kind of brought it up a little while ago, but yeah, it's just diving into that fruitfulness, that richness of life. Kind of taking care of all aspects of ourselves, the spiritual, physical, the mental. And so just learning how to kind of really embody that lifestyle. And it is a lifestyle like change. To become like more enriched, I guess. Like in the knowledge and the emotions, learning how to like truly connect, right, to our universe, to nature. Setting goals for ourselves is always important because it keeps you internally motivated, right? And also just like there's also external external rewards, right, for the efforts. I don't know. I mean, the rabbit is really just like a really good example for like a symbolism for just enriching your lives, right? Making sure you're kind of living up to the fullest, challenging yourself, making sure you don't fall into that ball of worry or stressing yourself out, right? Because you're trying to perceive the world, but it's being shown in a different lens that just does not compute with some of us at this time, right? Or it doesn't really like resonate as deeply. But I think just with practice and like doing some of these exercises that have been talked about, and just trying it, right? Like, and it's not the type of information that we learn that we just like get it the first time and that's it, and you never, you never like retry or you never reflect back on it, right? So we just, yeah, I don't know. That's all I really have to add to it. Do you guys have anything else to add to this slide?
And then
No,
I
you
know
think you got it?
Yes, thank you.
I mean, we talked about it earlier, and we've been talking about it during all the classes, right? How there are lessons in each of the signs, and there are aspects that um, practicing the lessons can help us with in our current life, like in our carnal life. And for Tochtli, for the rabbit, um, I think that it's something that at least I personally was afraid of. Growing up in this belief system that you never have enough. There's you're surviving, right? You're coming from a place of lack, and so that's kind of like all you know. Um, you just survive, paycheck to paycheck kind of situation. Um, it's it's traumatizing for most of us, and working with this sign is definitely like a call out to like you don't have to be this way, right? Like this is not who you are. It's just another fucking aspect that has been introduced to you from a young, as a child, that you don't have to carry with you into adulthood. You don't have to exist from a place of lack and from a place of no tener, entonces no querer. No, you don't have anything, and so why do you even wish for anything, right? And you don't have to be like that. And it's definitely something that I personally have had to address in how my thoughts are formed when it comes to having new experiences, to being open to new experiences. And it's definitely a journey. And it's something that I write about, when I journal. And I don't know if it's going to be equally as hard for you guys, or maybe it'll be easier. I don't have Tochtli in my birth chart, but it's something that I definitely want to exercise. It's something that I want to exercise, not just for me, but for those around me, right? For my kid. I don't want to project these insecurities onto him when it comes to surviving fucking capitalism, right? And we can thrive in this world. It's not impossible for us to thrive. It's just about redesigning the way the schemas inside of our brain are set up. And it sounds fucking impossible, but it's not, right? Like it is possible. It is possible to recode your brain. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Gracias, Comati, Nico.
Yeah, a good example of that could be never mind, I forgot. I heard Peanut yelling, and so I was tripping. Anyways, no, it's not bad. Anyways, go ahead, Brett.
So the fertility of our spirituality is emotions, knowledge, project goals, and economic targets. Tochtli, one of the amazing things about Tochtli, the rabbit, is how fertile is, right? And it calls on us to basically embody this personality that the rabbit has when it comes to the fertility of our spirituality, right? We got to find ourselves. We got to be able to know who we are, right? We got to be able to grow ourselves. We got to be able to control our emotions. We got to be able to remain like a tsunami, which is basically like that water that might look really calm on top, right? But your emotions on the bottom are basically like really fast current, right? We got to be able to control our emotions, and that goes to every emotion, right? Some of the emotions or thoughts that we have are extremely draining when it comes to energy. Envy, anytime we're being judgmental, anytime they were thinking about what could have been or what can be that is in a negative way, we are basically our own worst enemy when it comes to our emotions, and we got to be able to learn how to control those. We got to be able to gather knowledge. That's basically what the Nahual is, a person that is always gathering knowledge like a rabbit, right? Always being curious about different things, always reading and being picky about what it is that you read and the information that you put into your head, right? You want to be selective about the information that you're consuming, because this is information that you're going to carry with you, and the information might not always be as accurate as you would like. I mean, it's always a good thing to when you're going to choose a subject, look at it from multiple different points of views, right? Projects, the fertility of projects, right? A person that has this tonal is the type of person that is always going to be creating something, trying to start a project, trying to start a business, trying to start something, right? That is basically one of the things that we want to do with this tonal. When we embody this rabbit, we want to go ahead and basically work on this type of things, set goals, right? What is going to be our goal for, from here to 1 year, right? But make sure that you are living in the now, but aware that you're basically working towards something in the future. And if it doesn't happen, it didn't happen, right? But you put in some effort into it. And the same thing goes for even economic targets, right? If you want to basically be this true person, true free person, right? Maybe we should teach ourselves some education when it comes to economy, right? I think most of us were never told how the economy truly works, right? And in doing and in not knowing some of these things, we fall on this trap of consumerism, capitalism, and becoming just a number, right? We got to be able to teach ourselves about this, how the world functions when it comes to these different things, including economy, and be able to liberate ourselves by setting these economic targets for ourselves, right? I mean, would you prefer to be working on gathering knowledge, or would you prefer to be working a 9 to 5? Would you prefer to be spending time with your family or working a 9 to 5? So all of these different things in the gathering of these different actions lead to this fertility that the rabbit can teach us by empowering it, right? By empowering a lot of the personality and traits that he has. Tlazo Gamati. No,
Did we also talk about? Did we also talk about how Tochtli, people born in the Tochtli are like organized people, and um, they are like prone to success because they're happy. They are also known as like the trickster because they exist in duality, and so that trickster allows them to kind of like learn how to use moments in life where they can remember certain emotions for the benefit of manipulation to make certain people believe certain things. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Just taking in all the information right now. There was something else I wanted to add about Tochtli real quick. No, you're good. My train of thought is like slipping. Also doesn't help I'm super full. Oh, what was I gonna say? It had to do with like the whole. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. So I wanted to bring up the point that there's a reason we're going in like the order that the calendar or like the system kind of goes in when it talks about like the energy signs. And so something I wanted to bring up was like there's a reason like why we're made to do certain exercises beforehand, why we're like given the information and tools that like precedes this information, right? And so it's to like build upon it. And so one of the first teachings is right, like to observe, be silent, like without judgment and just learn, right? And countless of our siblings have said it tonight with like the tools and like the information is within you, right? You just kind of need to learn how to like hone in on it and like activate it more, right? But yeah, I just wanted to kind of connect that like there's a reason why we learned that teaching, and then we learned about like the ego and trying to harmonize with it and learn it and understand it, because that's essentially the duality within you, right? And you can only grow stronger the more you recognize it, and then you start building and protecting like your space, and you start being more mindful of like letting go kind of concepts, right? And then you get to the one we're talking about with Tochtli today, and it's meant for a reason, right? There's like a pattern of existence, and so it's like you really can't touch upon the ones that continue until you really practice the ones like before, to get that full information behind it, I guess. But yes, for this slide, it's suggesting that we develop a project in each area of your life: spiritual, emotional, sentimental, physical, and intellectual. So making sure we are observing ourselves, observing like our needs, what it is that we really want to dive into in each of those like aspects of ourselves. I mean, it resonates very well with me. There's like there's reasons why we do the lessons. Like, yeah, like it maps out perfectly because it's like those times that you need it most, right? And so for me, I'm not too familiar if my energy has the rabbit in it, but I know it does resonate well with me in the whole needing to improve and constantly, kind of make changes, because the more you start to self-reflect and be mindful, then you realize that, there's things that are lacking. So developing a project, right? And only you kind of know what you want to do to address these areas. And then you examine the great Lasoteo earth as a rabbit would. You search for books, courses, workshops to enrich the required knowledge. And I think that's kind of like what we're introducing you guys to here, right? Of just like starting to ask questions, starting to seek more information, right? Make the enrichment process a little bit more like fruitful. And really just discovering all the different passions. They call it here forms of intoxication, but it's passion, like motivation, what inspires us, right? That's an area I really do need to develop personally, just on, honing in on those specialties, those talents that we have, and we just need to like, develop them further. And then you select the cave of knowledge. Yeah, I'll pass it on to others that want to speak, add on to.
Real quick, just because I do remember what I was going to add after Sister Pilar was done. It was the fact that this is fundamental knowledge that we are, sharing with you all. And as we are progressing through this knowledge, we might be invited to the next circle, which has even deeper knowledge, right? So that's why the disclaimer is always in the invite. Come with an open perspective, come with a mind of, of understanding that everything exists, right? Like all thought processes exist, and so who are we to say that something doesn't exist or whatever? There are certain aspects and certain processes and ways of existing in those belief systems, and so we are sharing with you one that has been rooted through not just centuries, but the base of the knowledge going further back than that to like the Toltec and the Olmec. And I mean, regardless, the fact remains is that right now we are sitting in what they call the outer circle. And so I know Brother Atlani has already reached and progressed into the next circle. And so the knowledge just gets deeper and deeper. But right now, this is just that fundamental stuff. So just come in with an open perspective and just like, learn. Yes. Brother Atlani.
Class of Gamati. So on the exercises to do, right? We want to go ahead and develop and try to potentially size as much as we can Tochtli, right? In these different aspects, the spiritual, the emotional, the sentimental, physical, and intellectual, right? If one of the things that we want to work on is getting better health-wise, right? Why not touch on the physical aspect, right? Putting maybe a whack of, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour a day, right? And try to gain some physical betterment, some health betterment to the body, right? Part of going back to Cali, right? Going back to your house, your body. Same thing goes to sentimental, emotional, spiritual, or intellectual projects. Anything that you can basically plant a seed on, right? And that seed, if you water it, right, eventually it's going to flourish into what it is that you're trying to achieve on any of these different uh, individual aspects. Examine the great Tlazoteot, examine like the rabbit would. This morning I was watering my garden and I don't use fertilizers. So there's like 20 rabbits that love my front yard, my front lawn. And this morning I was able to observe a Tochtli, right? Which was perfect for this class because this is one of the things that I wanted to observe, right? A rabbit actually, how he interacts with the earth, right? And basically what he does is just smelling, is moving, is checking different things. When you look at it, you cannot help but realize that it's full of this energy, curiosity, and that is essentially what this is trying to explain to us. Um, how to be able to work that curiosity to enrich our knowledge. Nobody else is going to enrich it for us. We have to look for the information and actually fill ourselves with the actual knowledge. Discover the 400 forms of intoxication. This goes back to Mayahuel, the maguey, the agave plant, right? The pulque, the sacred drink, from the agave, right? It is said that when you drink, when you get tipsy, when you get drunk, you have 400 different personalities. And one of those personalities might be you being upset. The other one might be you being extremely happy. The other one might be you being really sad. And that's really what the 400 passions or intoxication really translates to, right? This aspect of the rabbit having these multiple different personalities, 400, which we can essentially take over, right? And we do all the time already. Whenever we're basically talking to friends, if we're talking to a friend, we have a particular mask on, a particular personality, right? If we're talking to our mom, a completely different personality. If we're talking to one of our kids, completely different personality. So these would be the different personality or masks the Tochtli is talking about. And we got to be able to understand how to use them, right? If we're in search of getting in somebody's good side, maybe a smile on the mask on our face is going to get us farther than if we come up to this person and behave in a rude way, right? So we got to be able to discover these different passions, different masks, to be able to use them to our advantage. And then for the cave of knowledge, right? The cave of knowledge is basically this place where you can do some ceremonies, this place where you can put your dreams, put your achievements, tell yourself what you're doing right, what you want to work on, scream if you want to scream, cry if you want to cry, let out all of your emotions, get to know yourself, right? And this is a place that essentially you want to find that you can easily get to, if you can, um, and make it your own, even if it's in your house, even if it's, I don't know, any place where you feel comfort, right? Any place where you sense this peace, this energy, welcoming to you being there would be a good location to be at and make your own. So that's what I would say about this. Tlazocamati. ¿No hay sin Pilar?
This is a beautiful concept. I love how you guys are able to do these types of exercises to ground the body. The way that Atlani said right now of being able to take a walk also, that's actually how you ground yourself or bring earth into the body more, is to get your body active, you know, and doing your daily activities or something like that. So I love how you put that. And this cave of knowledge, if I could add one little section to that by saying, does it have to be fully physical? Can we go inward for this cave so it's always accessible? And I think I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I definitely think you can go inward as far as the cave goes. Thank you for adding that. I don't really have much more to add. I do want to just say, and thank you everybody for coming to the call today. I have to go do some mom duties, so I won't be able to hop on the mic anymore. But I appreciate everybody for being here in the Ashkan Wanikan with us. And thank you.
So when it comes to the cave, if I may quickly, the cave is kind of an important place. And it is, in myself, I do use a cave, okay? And the reason why I use a cave is because some of the exercises that we're doing are to basically get in touch with ourselves in a deep way, right? To go inward in a deep way. A cave is perfect because it's basically an opening to Mother Earth. You're basically connecting with Mother Earth extremely in a really personal way. You're connecting with your home, with your body in a different way than you would say if you were meditating at the park or meditating in a house where you might have a little bit of noise, right? The cave is a place where a lot of ceremonies are done. And some of these ceremonies are ceremonies that you can do by yourself. So finding a cave, I think, is an advantage. Obviously, you don't have to do it, but it is something that I would suggest that you guys try at least once.
Very good points. I like that. Thank you, Alani.
No anything, Nemo?
I am excited to try this. I'm excited to try a lot of these exercises because we have I just have to communicate with the Masiani, right? But we have the ability to purchase those things and hopefully get them. But regardless, the fact still remains that those 400 forms of intoxication, it's very factual, and from personal experience, I can honestly say that I have exhibited multiple personalities during my intoxications. And we're not just talking about with alcohol. There's other remedies that exist that also go to that same level, if not further. And so I do want to say that thanks to one of those, TechBot and I actually had a really, really good connection. We were able to finally break beyond some barriers and just understand each other's energies. And so it's all about the experiences, right? And so I wanted to say that, it can be multiple forms, multiple ways of experiencing, but the fact remains is that each experience is going to be unique. And so don't take my experience as just the only way of being able to go through this. And so it's in my perspective. Thank you for allowing me the space to give my perspective, and I'll send it over to Sister Pilar or Atlani.
Let's go to the next slide, if you don't mind. I think Noinitzing Pilar might be busy now.
That's true. Sorry. My bad.
So this is one of the exercises to do that is going to be able to help us connect with the energy of the rabbit, Tochtli. So what we want to do is in a container of water or in a pond. We want to observe the face and ask the mother and great father, Tecusistecat, to help us flow to achieve our goals in the different areas of our life. Uh, Take the position of a little rabbit and feel the vibration of the earth, as well as perceive and enjoy the harmony of nature with the ears and sense of the smell, right? So in this exercise, essentially what we're doing is we're going to try and determine what it is that we want to work for, right? What it is that we're asking for. So this is a prayer, a plegaria. We want to be asking, in my case, I asked for knowledge. Um, but anything that you would want to work on, you want to go ahead and write it down, right? You want to go ahead and essentially give your prayer to Tlazolteotl, to Tecusistecat, to Nistli, to uh, all of the ancestors, and essentially whatever. I find that when it comes to prayers, the best prayers come from the heart, right? Whatever it is that you want to be thankful for, whatever it is that you want to be asking for, and keeping in mind that we want to be thankful in a humble way for the things that have already been given to us and the things that haven't been, because we may not be ready for some of these different gifts that we have asked for that we haven't received yet, right? That's not to say that we won't receive them eventually, but that is essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to connect ourselves with the energy of Tochtli and with the energy of the moon by doing this exercise. No need sing Nemo?
So, like I was mentioning earlier, that the people born in the any type of relation of having Tochtli within your tonal. I was born in a Tochtli year, and so I can relate to a lot of this. There are some things that are also discussed when it comes to the Tochtli people, is that if they are not guided properly to harness the ability to create success, then it becomes difficult for them, because they have so many ideas, so many projects, so many, different things that in their mind going 100 miles an hour, that without that proper support for organization, that individual will just become something that can never complete their projects, and they just can't seem to do things right, or something always bad always happens to them. But in relation to the exercise itself, yes, asking for, and you know what? I should have written down the saying that he says in Nahuatl, so that we could share what it means here. I just, you know what? It totally blew my freaking mind, and I just forgot to write it down. Anyways, um, yeah, just take the moment to set some goals in your life, and uh, just like Tochli, approach those goals in a very happy, very positive spirit, and make sure that you just develop some of those tendencies for success, and you learn something from Tochli. So if it's not within your year, you can still practice some of these exercises, just so you can understand and perceive that the human goes through many cycles in this Nawa ideology, and sometimes you can be your tonal can read, or your birth sign can be read as uh, Chiknawi Goat, right? 9 snake. But even though that person was born 9 snake, they can go through phases of being other tonales as well. They can be also matli. They can be Metzli. I mean, not Metzli, Tochtli. And so there's that also that understanding also exists. And so, anyways, taking it back to the goals and creating those is one of the reasons why I brought that topic up. Is because you're setting little goals, spiritual goals, like you know what? When people say this, it pisses me off. Well, you can set a goal so that when people say that, you can do the opposite of getting pissed off and do something different. You know, like I don't know, you want to be better with finances. Well, challenge yourself to at least take a couple of YouTube classes where you can go down a path of understanding how to budget or how to use the finances or the financing system to improve yourself. Anyways, those are some of the small goals that you can set for yourself. And if you organize it and follow it, it might bring a different perspective and help you bring some organization in your life. Um, and yes, the the whole vibration with nature, and yes, I mean, just take the moment to go outside and plant your feet on the ground, bare feet, and just ground yourself.
No, it needs in TechPad.
No, took all the words.
Thick butt says we took all the words, and I think she's down for the count.
Yeah.
She's a hard worker.
Okay, next slide. So observe, enjoy, learn, teach, and harmonize with the lunar cycle, as well as develop the feminine intuition. Know how to manage energy to focus it on the goal to be achieved, right? And yeah, I mean, we want to basically try and learn how the moon has an effect on us, right? Because it does. It has it affects us in some way in some days. Everything, if we think that everything is energy, the simple movement of an object is going to have an effect on us, especially as big as the moon, right? So I think, or I would suggest for you guys to try and keep track of where the moon is, and try to see, how you feel, how it affects you, how it makes you think. Things of that nature. I enjoy watching the moon myself. Um, I I wasn't too fond of the moon a few years ago. I felt somewhat wary of it, and I've been able to slowly gain a lot of love for the moon. I don't know why. I still ask myself why I was kind of uh, reluctant of the moon, but it is basically something that I experience myself, and I kind of wonder if it happened to anybody else my entire life. You want to go ahead and essentially enjoy all of this knowledge that you're acquiring, practice it, teach it, right? Continue to learn as much as you can. This is information that helps a lot of people. It helped me a lot. But Noinitzin Techpad was explaining to us the other day, or telling us a story on how she was able to apply one of the exercises, right, with one of the patients that she has, and he was able to have a positive effect. So it goes to show how a lot of these different exercises can help improve the life of people. So sharing this knowledge or teaching it to others is an amazing tool. It's essentially what I think this knowledge should be used for, to be able to empower other people, to be able to to learn from themselves, right? And I'm going back to that point of nobody is going to be able to teach you this by experience other than yourself. If you do the exercises, you're creating your own truth and not relying on what somebody else is telling you. You are essentially a person that you cannot lie to, right? You cannot lie to yourself. So that's the beauty of these exercises. You put in the work and you basically get to experience the results. If you don't, nothing happens, right? You simply didn't. Uh, know how to manage energy to focus it on the goal to be achieved. And this is one of the things that Noinitzing Father Cholo was talking about earlier, as far as being able to take energy, right? You can take energy, or you can just simply um, storage your energy, right? You can make sure that if people are trying to take energy from you, you basically, by simply not reacting, you're actually taking that energy from them. So if somebody comes to you in a rude way and you smile back and you react in a really positive way, right? And you don't allow for this person's actions or behavior to control yours, at the end of the day, you're taking energy from this situation. You're building yourself up in multiple different ways. By making sure that your emotions are not attacking you all the time, you're saving energy, right? And all of this is energy that is going to be vital when it comes to doing some of these exercises, especially when it comes to more advanced exercises. Noinitzing Nemo spoke on how I already been able to do the first circle, right? Uh, on the next circle, the exercises get harder and they're more complex and they are more profound. And if we were to talk about those right now, they would be crazy to the mind and to the conversation where we are right now, right? And the reason why they would be crazy is because, like Noinitsin Tekpat said, all of this is a progress, right? And we're seeing this progress from the first tonal up until the last tonal, right? We will continue to see it until we basically flourish. So that's basically what I would say. I would say rely on yourself, on your own knowledge, on the information that you gather, on the teachings that you apply on yourself, and on your own observation, keeping in mind that you will always continue to learn, right? You should always be curious, and you should always be also questioning yourself, right? Questioning yourself in the good sense, pushing yourself in the good sense as well. That is part of what was stolen from us. This knowledge of actually knowing ourselves, because when you know yourself, you're empowered. Know anything, Nemo?
Dang, Atlani, you get down. That's right.
Plaza Kamatinik.
Yes. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Demastiani also said that the exercise must be done on a night that it has a full moon, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And so the moon being full moon, why is it important for it to be, for this particular exercise to be done on a full moon? The energy of the full moon empowers us, right? Uh, this is linked to the werewolf, right? On the full moon, he always turned into a wolf, right? Into a werewolf. Uh, Same concept here, actually, right? Uh, the energy of the moon has a powerful effect on us. So what we're doing is we're basically using the energy of the moon in this exercise to magnify the exercise or make it more powerful, right? In building this connection with Tochtli. So this is an exercise that would be perfect to do on a Tuesday or on a Friday with a full moon. And luckily, next Friday we have a full moon, so it would be the perfect day to do this exercise. I do plan on doing it myself again. A lot of these exercises are exercises that, although I've already done a couple of times, I continue to do because they're extremely empowering. This idea of vibration is something that can easily be felt, but it does take the exercise. The exercises have to be done to the point that you start feeling the vibrations and multiple different things that you might not be familiar with, right? So that's the reason why it's really important to do on a full moon. You're using the energy of the moon. Any questions or comments?
I keep repeating to myself as you're talking, like, wow, very nice. I just don't want to have it unmuted while I'm saying that because it'll distract from what you're saying. But I'm very cool what you're saying. Very cool.
No, tlazocamati miak.
I'm in the grade right now of the moon, which is very interesting because the things that you're saying is very falls in line with the stuff that I'm being taught right now about this grade, right? And the way that you're saying to connect with it, and even on different days, it'll give you a different version of itself, you know, because it's going through a different filter, you know. So that's why I'm like, you're on point with what you're saying, you know. And I'm sure you know that. You don't need to hear it from me, but it's all I'm saying is this is why I'm hearing you when you talk. One of the things I want to add to that is they say the moon, and I'm trying to figure out how it fits, right? They say the moon is deceptive, right? The moon is deceptive because they say that because it tries to trick you. For instance, the sun is not deceptive. Why do I say this though? Because when the sun shines upon you, that's its original light that it's giving you. But when the moon is shining upon you, the moon is giving you a reflection of a light. So it's not, it's an illusion. That's the word right there, right? It's an illusionist. The moon is an illusionist because it's giving, that's why it says it'll trick you, right? Because it's giving you a light that isn't its own originally. It's being reflected from something else. Much like the water reflects you, you think that that's your reflection. This is where Narcissus fell into the water because he thought that his reflection was so beautiful, right? So that's the reflection, that's the allure, the illusion, right? The moon. And so that's why I think what I'm trying to add to that is by saying everything you're saying is so on point. But there's, what is it, the dark side? Who has that song about it, the dark side of it, the moon? And so I want to add that to it also by saying, so maybe some sage, I'm sure everybody knows this already, some sage before we sit down and do the meditation, cleanse and purify our area, because there is that other side of the moon that seeks to deceive us.
Pink Floyd is who I think has that song, The Other Side of the Moon. I love Pink Floyd.
1,000 points to Atlani.
So the rabbit is known as the trickster, right? Maybe that's the reason why, because of the reflection of the light of the moon, right? There's a lot of stories about the moon, negative energy, positive energy, the dark side of the moon. Also, there's stories about a dark sun. I don't know if you guys have heard any of those, but those are really quite interesting. They are part of the creation story of the Olmec and then Anawak old stories. We're not talking about Aztec, we're talking much farther, the Wewe Tlatoni. So that's essentially how the moon manages to affect us. And this is quite an interesting thing, because you can notice this information or things related to this information from multiple ancient cultures, right? But now most people don't even pay attention to the moon. They don't are really kind of like not in touch with the cycle or a lot of different things that are quite uh, important in our day-to-day life, right? The fertility aspect, as Noinitzin Pilar mentioned, of the woman, goes hand in hand with the moon. And the fertility of a lot of different things in the planet go hand in hand with it. So I think that is some of that knowledge that we got to get back that was taken away from us. Any other questions or any other comments? Anyone? Well, I think it was a really interesting conversation. I think that we should have more conversations when it comes to the Nahual. I think that that is a subject that can take, a few conversations just in itself to try and explain it and try to grasp the concept, because it is kind of like not an easy concept to grasp in the philosophical aspect of it. I think it's become quite superficial when it comes to the knowledge, but it's deeper. It goes really deep when it comes to the word itself. Anything else anybody wants to add before we finish for the night, the class? Well, I think we call it a night then.
I just want to
Go
say
ahead.
thank you so much for your wisdom and your teachings. And yeah, I agree. I think we should definitely keep an open mind and be open to everybody's knowledge and perspective on certain topics, and at the same time be respectful. So, but thank you so much.
We are all teachers, no need saying. We learn from you. So any input that you can give us, any questions, any comments, is an opportunity for not just myself, but everybody to learn from. We all have a lot of knowledge. So anytime anybody shares some of that knowledge, I keep my ears open, because I think all of us are teachers. Tlazokamati.
Most definitely, Trasokamati. And there is something I want to share, but not on here. I'll message you privately, but I'll share a dream I had. So I'll message you and tell you about it. I just want to get your
Yeah,
input.
please, no anything. Feel free.
Okay. I'll
Tlazokamati.
I'll talk to you later.
Tlazokamati, Nick. All right, see you.